All right, buckle up, everybody, because we are diving deep into some pretty wild claims about secret government programs, UFOs.
Oh, yeah.
And a potential massive reveal that could change, like, everything we know about
Everything.
in the world. So our sources for today are a couple of podcast interviews, one with Dr. Stephen Greer, who founded the Disclosure Project, and another with Billy Carson from Forbidden Knowledge.
So these are people that are very much in the thick of things.
Oh, yeah.
These aren't just random.
These guys know.
These guys aren't just like, posting on Reddit.
They're in it.
These guys have been in this field for years.
Yeah, and one of the biggest things they're saying is that a group of high-level people from these like super secret programs are about to defect.
Wow.
And like expose everything, like naming names, giving actual evidence.
That's a big deal. Like, what kind of risk are these people taking by coming forward?
Huge too, right? They could be looking at legal trouble.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Maybe even threats to their safety.
Possibly even worse. Yeah.
It makes you wonder, why now? Why would they risk so much?
Right. It seems like it has to be something really big.
Yeah.
Something they feel is really important for the world to know.
They can't stay silent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Dr. Greer actually says that he met with the leader of this group.
Really?
And they seem totally committed to coming forward.
Okay, but wait, there's more.
There's always more.
It gets even crazier.
Yeah?
Dr. Greer says these programs aren't just keeping secrets, they're actually operating, like, illegally.
Oh, wow.
Completely outside the law.
Illegally.
Maybe even doing things that are straight up criminal.
That's where it gets really murky, right?
Yeah.
If that's true, who's in charge?
Right.
Who's making the decisions?
Exactly.
What happens if they're violating the laws they're supposed to be upholding?
Right. And here's the thing that makes it even riskier for Dr. Greer. He says he has classified documents.
Whoa.
About all of this.
Seriously?
Like, that could put him in so much danger. But it also shows how much he believes in what he's saying.
Right. He's putting himself on the line.
Yeah. Like, where does this rabbit hole even end?
You have to wonder about the scale of this.
Exactly.
Of these alleged programs. I mean, if he has documents, it's not just like a couple of things.
Yeah.
It's a lot of stuff.
And then you've got the whole thing with the drones.
Oh, the drones, yeah.
Those things are all over the news lately.
Right. It's drones everywhere.
Yeah, and some people are saying they might not even be what they seem.
Okay.
Like, some are saying these drone sightings are staged.
Staged.
Like it's all a show.
Like a big distraction.
Yeah, to confuse people.
Keep them questioning everything they see up there.
So instead of worrying about alien spaceships, everyone's just going to think, oh, it's just another drone.
Exactly. That's one theory.
Okay.
But it gets even wilder. Some are even comparing it to a cosmic Gulf of Tonkin incident.
A cosmic what?
Gulf of Tonkin.
Okay. I don't know that one.
So the Gulf of Tonkin incident was this event that basically escalated the Vietnam War. And some people believe that it was kind of manufactured or staged.
Wow.
To justify going to war.
So they're saying these drone sightings could be like a fake alien invasion to get us all riled up?
Yeah, like to justify increasing military budgets or maybe even starting some kind of conflict.
Seriously?
Yeah, it's a pretty heavy comparison, but
it's like straight out of a Cold War spy movie.
It is. And the timing is interesting too.
What do you mean?
Well, all of this is happening right when those whistleblowers are supposed to come forward.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
So could it be an attempt to control the story before it even breaks?
Okay, that's trippy.
Yeah, if these whistleblowers do come forward with evidence, it'll be really easy to dismiss them by saying, oh, that's just more of that drone stuff.
Right, like it's all just a big hoax.
Exactly.
It's like they're playing mind games with the whole world.
It's a pretty sophisticated way to manage public perception.
Okay, so we've got potentially illegal government programs, whistleblowers risking everything to tell the truth, and maybe even staged events to confuse everyone.
Sounds like a movie plot.
It does. What's next? Are they going to tell us the moon landing was fake too?
Well, no, not quite.
Yeah.
But they are saying that these secret programs are reverse engineering.
Reverse engineering.
Advanced technology.
Like alien tech.
Yeah, that's what they're claiming.
Are you serious?
Yeah, they're saying they've got their hands on technology that came from somewhere else.
Wow.
And not just any technology. We're talking about potential weapon systems.
Really?
Yeah, the kind of stuff that could be really devastating if it fell into the wrong hands.
Okay, that's getting a little scary now.
Yeah, it is. They even mentioned specific things like electromagnetic pulse weapons, scalar weapons.
Scalar weapons? What are those?
Well, they're basically theoretical weapons that manipulate energy.
Like how?
In a really powerful way. It's
Yeah.
hard to explain.
Yeah, that's pretty far out.
Yeah. But they also mentioned something called a psionic interface.
A psionic what?
Interface.
Okay, I have no idea what that is.
Essentially like a mind-machine interface.
You mean like controlling things with your thoughts?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. So they're claiming this technology exists and they're using it in these programs.
That's what they're suggesting.
And they're claiming they've used it to shoot down extraterrestrial craft.
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
This is like straight out of science fiction.
It does sound pretty wild, but if you think about it,
Yeah.
the potential implications of this technology are huge.
I mean, we're talking about power that's almost unimaginable.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's what makes this whole thing so fascinating.
And terrifying.
Right? It's both. It's like this amazing potential, but also this incredible danger.
Exactly. What if this stuff gets into the wrong hands?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah. And that brings us to Dr. Greer's call to action. He's urging everyone to pay attention to this, to share this information.
Spread the word.
Yeah, and to push back against any attempts to like manipulate or control the narrative.
He's basically saying that the truth needs to come out
Yeah.
and that we all have a role to play in making sure that happens.
He's saying that whoever becomes president, no matter who it is, will have to deal with this.
Really?
Yeah, he's adamant about it. He thinks these disclosures are about to blow everything wide open.
Like a political earthquake?
Yeah, exactly. Like no one's gonna be able to ignore it.
It's a pretty bold prediction.
It is.
And it raises the question of how we as a society would handle that kind of revelation.
I mean, think about it. We've got potential whistleblowers, secret programs, this crazy advanced technology, and maybe even people trying to control the whole story. It's like we're living in a real-life conspiracy thriller.
It's definitely a lot to process.
It is.
And it's really important to approach all of this with like a critical but open mind.
Yeah.
We need to look at the evidence, think about why people might be saying these things,
Right.
and consider what could happen if we just stay silent or if everything comes out.
Right. We're not saying we know it's true or not.
No.
We're just laying it all out for you.
So you can make up your own mind.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, this is a story that could have a huge impact on all of us.
On the future of humanity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's a story that's still being written. We're all part of it now.
And one thing that's really important to remember is that Dr. Greer isn't just calling for awareness.
Sure.
He's actively working to help these potential whistleblowers come forward.
Oh, really? How's he doing that?
Well, he talks about how incredibly difficult it is for them to break free from these programs
Right.
and the dangers they face.
Yeah.
He stresses the need for a safe way for them to tell their stories.
It makes you think about the ethics of it all.
Yeah.
These people are putting everything on the line to tell what they believe is the truth.
Right.
And they're facing huge risks.
Huge risks.
It shows how important it is to protect people who speak truth to power.
Yeah, no matter how uncomfortable that truth might be.
Exactly. And it's not just about revealing the truth, but also about making sure that truth isn't used to hurt people.
Right.
Dr. Greer is really worried about this whole thing being manipulated.
I can see why.
Yeah, maybe even turned into something dangerous that could lead to like more fear.
Or more conflict, maybe even war. Throughout history, people in power have used fear and misinformation to control others.
Right.
So imagine what they could do with something like aliens are invading.
Oh, man. It could be used to justify anything.
Increased military spending surveillance, cracking down on people's freedoms.
It's scary to think about.
It is. Dr. Greer even brought up Operation Mockingbird.
What was that?
That was a CIA program where they allegedly planted stories in the media.
Seriously.
Yeah, to try to sway public opinion. Makes you wonder what's really going on
It does.
behind the scenes.
Which brings us back to Billy Carson and what he said about the drones. He calls the whole thing a potential psychological operation, a way to manipulate people and make them afraid without them even realizing it.
He uses the term subconscious programming.
Subconscious programming.
Yeah, which is a pretty intense idea. It suggests that they're trying to plant thoughts and feelings in our minds without us knowing.
And that kind of stuff happens all the time, right?
All the time. Think about advertising
Oh, yeah.
or how political campaigns use targeted messages.
Right. It's all about understanding how information is used to shape our perception.
Exactly. And influence our behavior.
And with so much information out there these days.
It's everywhere.
Yeah, it's more important than ever to be able to think critically.
To question what we see and hear.
Yeah.
And to get our information from different sources.
It's almost like we need to be more active in this whole disclosure process.
I like that.
Yeah, not just passively absorbing information,
Right.
but really thinking about it and sharing it responsibly.
That's a great way to put it.
It's not just about the facts, it's about the context, the motivations, the potential consequences.
It's about being informed and responsible citizens.
Exactly. And now that we've kind of set the stage,
Yeah.
where do we go from here?
Let's dive into some specifics.
Okay.
Let's start with the most explosive claim. The one about these alleged defectors. What do we know about them?
Okay.
What could their motivations be? And what kind of impact could their testimony have?
All right, buckle up, because this is where things get really interesting.
Oh, yeah. So these defectors, Dr. Greer didn't hold back about the danger they're in.
Yeah, he mentioned some pretty serious stuff, like assassination.
Oh, yeah.
Even their families being targeted. That's intense.
He claims there's a history of people who threaten to expose these programs being silenced.
That's chilling. It makes you wonder who's behind it all.
Right. If these programs are as illegal and powerful as Dr. Greer says, who's protecting them so fiercely?
Yeah, like who's calling the shots?
It raises a big question about power.
Hmm.
Who has it? Who benefits from it? And who loses when it's challenged?
Dr. Greer's whole point is that these programs are operating outside the government.
Right.
Like they're not accountable to anyone.
He uses the word treasonous.
Yeah, it's like they're undermining the whole system.
And he believes it's created a shadow government.
A shadow government.
Yeah, a group with a lot of power operating in secret.
That's a pretty scary thought. It makes you wonder who's really in control.
And if they're willing to go to such lengths to keep things secret, what else might they be capable of?
Right. It makes you think about all the things we don't know.
Exactly. And how much power might be concentrated in the hands of a few.
So why should the listener care about this?
It's a question we should all be asking ourselves. Not just about UFOs, but about any situation where power is concentrated and there's no accountability.
So it's about being informed and engaged.
Exactly. We need to be aware of what's happening and demand transparency from our leaders.
So it's not just about UFOs. It's about making sure those in power are serving the people.
That's a great way to put it. We have a role to play in shaping the future.
We're not just passive observers.
Right? We need to be active participants. And Dr. Greer is definitely calling for action.
Yeah, he's not just saying be aware. He's saying do something.
He wants people to take a stand, demand answers, hold those responsible accountable.
He seems to believe that once the truth is out there, things will have to change.
He has a lot of faith in the power of truth.
But how do we break through all the secrecy?
That's the big question. How do we overcome the power of these secret programs?
Well, Dr. Greer talks about a people's movement.
A people's movement.
Yeah, he wants people everywhere to share this information and create a demand for disclosure that can't be ignored.
It's like he's saying, let's make so much noise they can't ignore us anymore.
It's an inspiring idea that ordinary people can come together and challenge powerful forces.
It's a reminder that we're not powerless. We have a voice.
We can demand accountability.
And shape the world we want to live in.
Yeah.
And remember, Dr. Greer isn't alone in this, Carol. Billy Carson agrees with him.
Yeah, Billy Carson is also concerned about the manipulation of information.
And the need for critical thinking.
He talks about not letting those in power control how we think or feel.
He wants us to be aware of the tactics they use.
To see through the propaganda.
To question everything.
He even says they'll keep the boot on our necks, and we'll praise them for it.
That's a powerful image.
It is. It's a warning about blindly accepting what we're told.
Especially from authority figures.
It's about reclaiming our power.
And standing up for what we believe in.
It's a message that resonates especially in today's world,
where we're bombarded with information from all sides.
It's a reminder that critical thinking is essential.
But let's go back to those darker aspects of these programs.
Okay.
Dr. Greer claims they might be actively trying to manipulate us.
Yeah, he talks about false flag operations.
Like staging events that look like alien activity but are actually man-made.
He mentions things like holographic projections and advanced drones.
Yeah, creating illusions that seem real.
Like they're creating their own reality.
And if you can control what people see and believe,
you can control everything.
It's a really powerful tool. And Dr. Greer even suggests that some alien abduction stories might be part of this.
That's a controversial claim.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's important to approach it with sensitivity.
But it makes you think about how vulnerable we are.
And how technology can be used to exploit that vulnerability.
I mean, if the technology is advanced enough.
It might be possible to make someone believe they've had an encounter with aliens.
And that's what Dr. Greer is worried about.
He thinks they're trying to create fear and paranoia.
Which could be used to justify all sorts of things.
More military spending, more surveillance.
Maybe even taking away our freedoms.
It's the classic problem reaction solution tactic.
Create a problem, scare people, then offer a solution that gives more power to the authorities.
Dr. Greer even compares it to the Gulf of Tonkin incident.
The Gulf of Tonkin.
Yeah, the event that escalated the Vietnam War.
He's saying they could stage a fake alien attack
to justify a military response.
It's a scary thought.
It is. It's a reminder to be critical thinkers.
To question what we're told.
And to be careful about who we give our power to.
We need to be the ones asking the questions.
Not just accepting the answers.
Especially when those answers could lead to more conflict and suffering.
And that brings us to the role of technology in all of this.
Right. Dr. Greer and Billy Carson both talk about these advanced technologies being developed in secret.
With little or no oversight.
Like those scalar weapons and the psionic interface.
They claim it's not just theoretical. It's already being used.
Maybe even weaponized.
And the potential implications are mind-blowing.
Weapons that could manipulate energy on a massive scale.
Or technology that could control people's minds.
It sounds like science fiction.
But according to them, it could be reality.
And that raises big questions about who controls this technology.
And how it's being used.
What safeguards are in place to prevent it from being misused?
Billy Carson even suggests that private companies might be involved.
Private companies?
Yeah, companies like Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman.
Wow.
The big players in the military-industrial complex.
So it's not just governments.
Might be corporations too.
And that adds another layer of complexity.
Less transparency, less accountability.
More potential for profit to be put ahead of everything else.
It's unsettling to think about what might be happening behind closed doors.
Beyond the reach of public scrutiny.
Which brings us back to the importance of transparency and accountability.
We need to be asking questions.
Who's profiting from these technologies?
Who's making the decisions?
And what's being done to prevent them from falling into the wrong hands?
Those are important questions. And they're not just about UFOs.
They apply to any situation where powerful technologies are being developed without oversight.
It's about recognizing the potential dangers of technology.
And making sure we're using it for good.
Dr. Greer and Billy Carson are both concerned about the secrecy surrounding these programs.
And the potential for them to be misused.
Dr. Greer even claims they might be staging events to manipulate us.
He thinks they might be using advanced technology to create events that appear to be extraterrestrial.
But are actually man-made.
He mentions holographic projections and advanced drones.
Creating convincing illusions.
It makes you wonder if some UFO sightings might be staged.
It's like we're living in a simulation.
It highlights the importance of critical thinking.
And questioning what we're told.
Dr. Greer even suggests that some alien abductions might be staged.
That's a sensitive topic.
It is. And it's important to be respectful of people's experiences.
But it raises questions about how our perceptions can be manipulated.
And how technology can be used to create experiences that feel real but aren't.
It makes you wonder how much we can trust our own experiences.
It's a reminder to be careful about what we believe.
And to seek out evidence.
Especially when it comes to something as big as alien contact.
We don't want to jump to conclusions.
Or let our fears control our thinking.
We need to approach this with an open mind.
But also with a healthy dose of skepticism.
So what can we do? How do we protect ourselves from being manipulated?
That's the big question.
And it's one we'll keep exploring as we dive deeper into these claims.
Let's stay tuned.
Okay, so we've talked about secret programs, whistleblowers, crazy technology, and even the possibility of staged events to like mess with what we believe. It's a lot.
It is. It all points to a bigger conversation about power.
Yeah.
And the forces that shape our world.
And the choices we make.
Exactly. One thing that really stood out to me in these interviews was the emphasis on consciousness.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this isn't just about technology or politics.
Right.
It's about a deeper shift in how we see ourselves and the universe.
Dr. Greer talks about moving beyond fear and division, embracing a higher understanding of ourselves.
He seems to believe that this disclosure of extraterrestrial life will challenge everything we know.
Like who we are.
What it means to be human.
Right, but he thinks it'll ultimately be a positive thing.
Yeah, leading to a more evolved and compassionate understanding of ourselves and our place in the cosmos.
It's like he's saying, get ready for an upgrade, humanity.
A cosmic upgrade.
I love that. But I can also see how it could be unsettling for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine having your whole worldview turned upside down.
It's definitely not going to be easy. But think about it.
Yeah.
We've been through these kinds of shifts before.
Like
the Copernican revolution, the discovery of evolution, the internet.
Oh, yeah.
Each of those challenged our understanding of the world.
And we adapted.
We evolved.
Yeah.
We came out stronger.
That's a good point. We humans are pretty resilient.
We are. And this potential disclosure could be the biggest, most mind-blowing change we've ever faced.
It could force us to confront some really big questions.
Who are we?
Where do we come from?
Are we alone? What is our purpose?
Whoa, that's getting pretty existential.
It is, but it could also be the catalyst for an incredible leap forward in human consciousness.
Imagine if we could move beyond fear and division.
And see ourselves as one species united by our shared humanity.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
It would. And that's why it's important to have these conversations now.
Yeah.
To think about the potential implications of this and prepare ourselves.
So how do we prepare for something this big?
Well, for starters, educate ourselves.
Yeah, learn as much as we can.
About the history, the claims, the evidence.
Right. The more informed we are, the better we'll be able to understand what's happening.
Knowledge is power.
We need to do our own research, think critically.
And not just believe everything we're told.
Right. We need to be willing to have open conversations with others.
Even those who might disagree with us.
This isn't a time for judgment or fear.
It's a time for dialogue, understanding, and building bridges.
It's about coming together as a species.
Recognizing our shared humanity.
And finding ways to move forward together.
And it's about cultivating a mindset of curiosity.
Yeah.
Openness and adaptability.
Not clinging to old beliefs.
But embracing the unknown and being willing to learn.
It's about having a growth mindset.
Instead of saying this can't be true,
we can say, wow, this is fascinating.
What can I learn from this?
How might this change my understanding of the world?
Exactly, because this is about more than just UFOs.
Right.
It's about the future of humanity.
The choices we make.
And of the world we want to create.
It's about recognizing that we're all interconnected.
We're all part of something bigger.
And we have a responsibility to care for each other.
Our planet and the future generations.
That's a great point. This disclosure, if it happens, could be a catalyst for a profound shift.
A global awakening.
To our true potential.
And the possibilities of a better future.
So let's stay informed, stay engaged, and stay open.
The future is unfolding.
And it's up to us to shape it.
That brings us to the end of our deep dives.
It's been quite a journey.
It has. But remember, the journey's just beginning.
What happens next is up to all of us.
Keep asking questions, keep seeking truth, keep the conversation going.
And if you ever look up at the sky and wonder what's out there, remember you're not alone.
We're all in this together.
Thanks for joining us for the deep dive.